Today on Yak About Today, let's talk about 1974, culture or the lack of culture, and who is Scott Sheets?
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm David Yakir.
And I'm Stephanie Raffelock.
And you're listening to Yak About Today, the ongoing, never-ending conversation between two boomer friends, sharing insights, perspectives, and plenty of opinion. So, get comfy, turn up the volume, and listen to what we yak about today.
Hey, David.
Hey, Steph.
How was your week?
It was an interesting week. It's a week that I discovered a few things about being locked up, which I'll talk about in a moment. Other than that, on the days that I shut off all sort of communication, televisions, newspapers, and radio, I felt particularly good. I exercised. I've been doing a lot of work on the podcast. I had been thinking a lot about you. And on those times, I'm pretty good. I really am. I'm pretty good. The moment Bill walks back into the house, turns on the TV, I'm suicidal. So, besides that, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing pretty good, and I have a similar experience as you do. On the days that I just leave the news off and I get out and I walk or I swim, I just feel better about myself. Maybe it's a way of sticking my head in the sand. I don't know. I do know that I'm going to vote, and that a couple days ago, before we recorded this, it was voter registration day. And so I encourage everybody, no matter what your party affiliation is, make sure you get out and vote.
Yeah, didn't you and I have a conversation about the mail-in voting? I think we both intended to vote by mail-in, and I think the rationale is a good one. Just in case you can't make it on election day, you secure your vote. And I think both of us, after listening to someone very high up in this country sit there and say, this is a fake, and, these ballots are corrupt, you're starting to get the feeling that that same person will make sure our ballots aren't read. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think we're voting in person. And by the way, I agree with you. I mean, people of all parties, should vote. For better or worse. I'm hoping it's better, or at least what we consider better.
I'm going to go stand in line. We have early voting in Texas, like a few days in October.
Right.
And then you can't vote for a while until November 3rd, but I am going to do early voting.
Yeah, me too. I think we are too. So getting away from that topic for a while, we sometimes get really lost in this conversation. And, sometimes we have to give our listeners a break, especially those listeners who like us as people a great deal, but don't agree with our politics. So we'll give them a break for a bit.
Okay.
So I just wanted to tell the story, something, and it's something I've dealt with before on this show. I was talking to a neighbor while I was walking Tess yesterday, and they were telling me, and this is amazing, they came out and they were really frustrated. They were tired of being locked away, as most of us are, especially in the more senior communities, because we're the most susceptible, and I think we're the most afraid. But they came out and they said, David, we're going to Disney World and Epcot. They were saying that, it's something that they do a couple of times a year. A lot of Floridians do go to Disney World. They buy this Florida pass where you can go often and, on certain days, or whatever it is. They did take off, and they went for 2 days, and they came back and they reported that, as unbelievable as it is, the Disney parks were packed full. Epcot Center, there was plenty of room. They were talking about. I was standing there, and, I was thinking, I keep saying being trapped. I always felt that having to stay in was what I was doing for work anyway. So I was at my desk inside during the day, And I walked the dog, and I did my my power walking. And every once in a while, I went to the supermarket. Bill's a chef, so we cut down a great deal on ever going to restaurants. So I was wondering what effect it had on me. And another neighbor, that's Tess in the background, by the way. You know, my little pup.
She isn't a neighbor. She lives here.
She turned 1 yesterday. Right.
That's her singing happy birthday with a bark?
Yes, and I think she's barking because there's a water delivery. So I will come closer to the mic so we can understand what I'm talking about here. Yes, she'll eventually get over it. Anyway, so I'm thinking the effect it has on me. And, you know, when you walk, the neighbors come out and you talk. And another neighbor said the same thing, but they missed having normal dining experiences, which was always so important to them. A couple of times a week, you know, it was normal dining. So it made me really think about what I feel really deprived of, being stuck in the house and, you know, working. Besides that, I always thought it was the same, but it's not. What I was deprived of is something we had talked earlier about. And so what reminded me of it was an article in the New York Times. So let me read you a paragraph from the New York Times, and you'll see where I'm going with this. New York, the city where this coming weekend Hugh Jackman will make mischief out of marching bands on Broadway's The Music Man. Anna Netrebko will pine stirringly as Aida for the Metropolitan Opera, and Nick Cave will command the stage with the Bad Seeds at the Barclays Center. The whole world seems to be here. Acts from Egypt, Morocco, and Lebanon join the Arabic Music Festival at Joe's Pub. Performances and parties herald the opening of the new $60 million home of the Irish Arts Center, and the reimagined Next Wave Festival draws adventurous artists from around the globe to BAM. That's the Brooklyn Academy of Music. And this is not hypothetical. That's the actual arts calendar for this weekend, September 25th to the 27th. Or at least it was. So the coronavirus pandemic has shredded the schedule, silencing all of New York's stages. Hugh Jackman's now taking online dance classes. Netrebko is being treated for COVID-19. And even as culture vultures return to museums, students to schools, and diners to restaurants, the performing arts remain indefinitely closed. There are exceptions, of course, mostly small and outdoor arts, and lots of streaming. Everybody's streaming art. So what happens when the performances pause, seasons are suspended, stages go dark? We look at the toll of the shutdown and the toll it's taking through data. Jobs vanish, revenue's gone, visuals picture the season that isn't, and personal stories, 22 art workers who would have been working this weekend, what are they doing instead? One weekend lost, but also so much more. And I had talked about this earlier, how I miss the arts. And in my new hometown, Vero, much is closed. Some of the art centers and galleries are fighting valiantly to stay open and to provide an outlet for the community. Venturing out takes a great deal of thought. And then I realized how selfish I am. I'm only thinking about myself, but all of a sudden it occurred to me, I was once in the arts. And what about the artists? You know, the discussion I would love to have is about the artists themselves. Well, so many have missed the opportunities, and you know this about art. Will they have missed the opportunities that they would have had this weekend? Will Netrebko get another chance to play Aida? Will we ever get to see Hugh Jackman and the Music Man? Will all the foreign art companies be able to come together again as they plan to do this weekend? I want to be seeing the arts thrive again in my new hometown, and I want to be able to fly back to my old hometown to see some of the great performances. I think that, my friend, is the current state of the affairs of art. That's my sort of current piece. I think that is what I'm missing. I don't miss going out to dinner, honestly. You know, I eat well at home, and we have a small circle, as you do, of people we do see who take the same precautions we do. You know, I do get out to go to the grocery store or to a doctor's appointment, and as I get older, more doctor's appointments than grocery stores. I miss it. I miss I don't know, in the old world, you'd go out to a gala opening, maybe to the theater, then a restaurant after. The next night you would take in some kind of art or stay home. But, every night or every other day, there was art in your life. And they're just not there. And so instead of going to Disney World, or instead of finding the dining opportunities I used to like, I really would like to go see a play. I'm just dying to sit in an audience and share an art experience with somebody. I think that's currently the way it is.
It is the way it is. And, art, we don't realize till it's
Right.
gone, what it is that's missing. It's it's the expression of the human soul through movement, through painting, through words, through stories that are written, the experience of the human soul. And yeah, I understand missing that. I would love to see dance. If I was going to go see something, I would see dance. I would go see Robert Joffrey Ballet, or
check out Netflix.
Something like that.
Netflix has some interesting movie shows that are about dance and singing and musical. But you have art because you'll be reading Steinbeck for the next year.
That's right, because my good friend David Yakir sent me 3 absolutely gorgeous hardbound John Steinbeck books. And I love Steinbeck, and I loved the period of time that he wrote in and the California experience. And there is a topography in California when you're driving up the Old Coast Highway, and you look off to the right and you see the golden grasses bent back by the wind. And to me, that is Steinbeck's California. So I'm looking forward to, during the holidays, sometime from Thanksgiving onward, to reading a bunch of books. I have a little stack on my
maybe every once in a while we could do a little bit of a reading, something that catches your attention, maybe from Steinbeck. That would be great. All right, we're going to move on to 1974, I think, is our year. Would you like to start, or should I jump into it?
Well, sure. Why not? In 1974, I think in August, Gerald Ford became president, not because we had an election, but because we replaced Richard Nixon, because Watergate came to a head in 1974. The speed limit was lowered to 55 miles per hour in an attempt to conserve gas, to conserve oil. And it didn't last that long. Let's see, music-wise, I was listening to Alice Cooper, Joni Mitchell, Dolly Parton, one of my all-time favorites. And I was 22 years old and living in a place called Topanga.
Oh, I know
Canyon.
Topanga.
One of the things that happened in Topanga Canyon in 1974 was there was a big guru movement that took hold in California. And it was everybody from, I don't know, this Swami and that guru and whatever, but it was a big part of the 1974 year in California. It seemed like everybody I knew had the guru du jour.
That's right. That's right. So, I remember that because I was in Santa Barbara. Okay, a few other things. This is when Muhammad Ali was stripped of his title because he...
Oh, right.
No, because he refused to go to the war. And he had become, remember, Cassius Clay became Muhammad Ali, and he became a devout Muslim. And as a result, he wouldn't fight in the war, so they stripped him of his title. And Stephen King had his first book.
That's right, Carrie.
That's right. Little things, let's see. Oh, I do always like to say a house costs $34,900. The average income per year was $13,000. What's so peculiar about this is in the other years that we did the salary versus the cost of a home was always about half. And $13,900 and $34,900 seemed to be a little out of sync that year. So I thought that was curious. Okay, great movies.
The Exorcist.
The Sting, Papillon, Herbie Rides Again, Blazing Saddles, The Great Gatsby, Serpico, Death Wish, The Godfather Part 2, Murder on the Orient Express. That was a great year for movies.
It was a great year for movies. Did you see The Exorcist? That movie scared the
Me too.
bejeebus out of
So
me.
let me tell you when I saw it. So I was in school in Santa Barbara. I had a great friend back then, Paul, and we decided we were going camping in the desert. But we stopped off on our way just north of San Diego, Carlsbad, to see his family. And while we were there, he and I went to see The Exorcist, and then we went camping. And for a week, I didn't sleep. That movie was terrifying. That's right. It was terrifying. Okay, born that year, Leonardo DiCaprio, Alanis Morissette, love her, Jimmy Fallon,
Love
and
her.
Victoria Beckham. And by the way, that was the year that the Sears Tower became the tallest building, taking over from the Empire State Building. That was the tallest building for about 35 years. So that's our year. And I don't know. Have you been thinking about anything?
The thing is, I've had trouble thinking about things because the world seems a little bit cattywampus to me right now. And I sat down this morning with my trusty laptop thinking that I would come up with something about what I'd been thinking. And I made friends with the delete key. But what I did find was a friend of mine posted something on Facebook that really moved me. And it's by an author that I'm not familiar with. This is a piece by a guy named Scott Sheets, spelled like an actual
Uh-huh.
sheet, like you put on your bed. I looked up Scott Sheets, and it's a brand name, Scott Sheets, but it's also a lawyer, a pediatrician, a bunch of other things. So I don't know what Scott Sheets wrote this, but I do want to give him credit nonetheless. So here's what he said. He said, here's what's missing from the White House. After hearing the sad news about RBG and reflecting on where we are today, I cannot fathom what has happened to our beautiful country. There is no literature or poetry in this White House, no music, no Kennedy Center Award celebration. There are no pets in this White House, no loyal man's best friend, no Socks the family cat, no kids' science fairs, no times when this president takes off his blue suit and red tie uniform and becomes human, except when he puts on his white shirt, khaki pants uniform and hides from the Americans to play golf. There are no images of the first family enjoying themselves together in a moment of relaxation. No Obamas on the beach in Hawaii moments, or Bushes fishing in Kennebunkport. No Reagans on horseback. No Kennedys playing touch football on the Cape. I was thinking the other day of the summer when George H. couldn't catch a fish, and all the grandkids made signs and counted the fishless days. And somehow, even if you didn't like George H. Bush, you got caught up in the joy of a family that loved each other and had fun. Where did that country go? Where did all the fun and joy and expression of love and happiness go? We used to be a country that did the Ice Bucket Challenge and raised millions for charity. We used to have a president that calmed and soothed a nation instead of dividing it. And we had first ladies that planted gardens instead of ripping them out. We are rudderless and joyless. We have lost the cultural aspects of a society that makes America great. We've lost our mojo, our fun, our happiness, the cheering on of others, gone. The shared experience of humanity that makes it all worth it, gone. The challenges and triumphs that we shared and celebrated, the unique can-do spirit Americans have always been known for, gone. We have lost so much. That's my piece by Scott Sheets, and it moved me.
It's
Yeah.
such a different perspective on how we look at things. We have a tendency to look from a political point of view, or the country as a whole, or the Constitution. I never thought of it.
The personal life of someone revealed. He says a lot, do you wear bunny slippers? There's something joyous about that. There's something joyous about the way we used to see presidents and their kids. I mean, it's like I read that article and I went, oh, right. They have a young kid that's living in the White House. But you never see
Mm.
pictures of the first family or here's, Donald Trump having a catch with his son, or you don't
No.
see that. And it's as if all the aspects that make someone a person and likable. I was not a big fan of either of the Bushes, but I also respected them. And part of that was just because of the love that was in their family. There's a great clip that I saw when George Bush died, and it's a picture of he and his wife Barbara Bush literally walking off into the sunset. And they were old by then. He slides his hand down his back and grabs her rear end, and she moves her hand, and they laugh. And it made him so human to me. It was the humanness beyond the policy. It was the humanness beyond the power. And for me, I read that piece by Scott Sheets and I went, boy, that's what's missing. It's the humanness beyond the policy, beyond the power that I so crave right now. Something relatable. I don't relate.
Yeah. I guess I would sum it up as the White House has no heart.
Yeah. So in that case, now it's your job to tell me something good.
I'm glad you asked, Steph.
You're welcome.
So I had given it a lot of thought, and don't giggle. When I was thinking this week, and I don't think about this section until an hour before. Mostly, I think about how we're presenting the I've been thinking part, and then I realized I'll tell you what I'm thankful for. That 1 hour or a couple of hours every week on a Thursday, everything bad goes away because I'm talking to you. And it's not something that sounds a little cheesy. It's just not, because I get excited. I wait for Thursdays when we record, and we publish on Saturday. And I was just really grateful for an hour and a half where, even though we talk a great deal about politics and other issues, there's something about our conversations. And I guess it's why at the opening of the show, we say it's a never-ending conversation. And I look for that. I constantly, every week, for all these years of Yak About Today, I am finally happy where we've landed. Mm-hmm. And that's because of you.
We found a home. It's a testimony to friendship. That's really the something good, the testimony of friendship. We're just a couple of friends that will never stop having this conversation till the day we die.
Right.
And I think all over the country, as people kind of break out a little bit and find out that one person or those two people that they can hang out with and relate to, it changes your world.
Yeah, it does.
So especially now, and I'm grateful for you. So
on that note,
yes,
Steph, say goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you, listeners.
Goodbye.
Oh